Hi, I'm Billy Wease, the 21st Century Pharmacist, and this is Franklin Boulevard Media. So when I was 14 years old, I grew up in Kings Mountain, which is the town just beside Gastonia. And so we came to Gastonia a lot. My dad was a pharmacist in Gastonia, and so I was in Gastonia, every day, essentially. And so at 14, I decided that I wanted to become a pharmacist. So I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And my last semester of pharmacy school, just before I was about to graduate, I got a phone call. And it was not an unusual phone call. It was my grandmother. And I called her Granny. And I spent a lot of time with Granny growing up. She was the person who wanted to cook for you, clean for you, wash your clothes, do all those kind of things for you. That's just who she was. And so it was not unusual for Granny to call me and check on me at school. So the typical things were, yes, Granny, I'm eating well. Yes, Granny, I'm sleeping well. Yes, Granny, classes are going well. And I'm only a few weeks away from graduation. And you promised me when I get home, you would make me my favorite meal, your meatloaf. And she, of course, agreed that she would make the meatloaf. But then she said, Billy Ray, she always called me by first and middle name. Billy Ray, there's something that I have to tell you. And I said, sure, Granny, what is it? And I said, oh my gosh, you have cancer. And you're going to an oncologist next week. And so I was sitting on the phone 3 hours from Granny, and tears running down my eyes. I was crying, and I said, Granny, I wish there was something I could do. I wish I could reach out and give you a hug. And then it hit me. I'm like, I'm getting ready to graduate from the #1 pharmacy school in America. So surely I can be some of assistance if I take Granny to this oncology appointment. So my wife, Beth, is also a pharmacist, and she was about to graduate pharmacy school also. So we drove the 3 hours to Kings Mountain to pick Granny up to go to this doctor's appointment. We take her to the doctor, and the doctor says, you have this type of cancer, and you need this treatment, this radiation, and this chemo, and you need to start now. And I looked at the doctor, and I'll never forget this. I looked the doctor in the eyes, and I said, hey, Mr. Oncologist, what can we do to help Granny have a better outcome or better quality of life than just chemo and radiation? And he looked me dead in the eyes, and he said, absolutely nothing. And so we drove back home. We took Granny back home, and then we drove back to school. And on the way back to school, I looked at Beth, and I said, Beth, what are we doing here? And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, we are going to pharmacy school, we thought, to help people get well, to help people have better health outcomes. I said, and here we are in this appointment with an oncologist and the two of us and Granny, and we have nothing outside of chemo and radiation. So it started my wheels to turning that I really wasn't learning a lot about health and wellness. I was learning about drugs and how to use drugs and how to help people use drugs and how to stay on those drugs. And so I graduated pharmacy school. I came home. Granny had started her treatments, and she had the typical things that you would expect from chemo and radiation. She had nausea. She lost her hair. She had to quit her job. She worked full-time at Mooney Hosiery Sock Mill. She still wanted to do all the cooking and cleaning, but it just got to the point that she couldn't do it anymore. And so Beth and I actually had to move in with her and my grandfather because he was not able to move her around. She had lost her mobility at this point. So now she's bedridden. We're changing her diapers. And one evening, got home from the pharmacy. And I started, by the way, at Eckerd Drug at Dixie Village, right down the street from where we are here doing this video. And I worked there for the first little bit of my pharmacy career. So I got to know a lot of people in the Gastonia area, and some of them would always remind me of my grandmother and grandfather, Granny and Grumps is what I called them. And I would see these people come in, and I would know that I couldn't help them any more than I could help Granny, not with real help. And so one evening I go home after work, and Granny's taking a really bad turn for the worse. We take her to the hospital. The doctor meets us, and he says she has multiple organ failure from the chemo and radiation. It's a matter of hours. You need to call in the family. So we did. Unfortunately, we called in the family. We sat with Granny. We held her hand. We sang, and she died in a few hours, just like he told us she would. And so that night, driving home from the hospital, I looked at Beth again, and I said, Beth, I can't do this pharmacy thing like this anymore. I cannot. I don't really know how to help anybody get well. And so it led me to go back to school to the University of South Florida School of Medicine and obtain an advanced fellowship in metabolic and nutritional medicine, which then led me to open the first of 3 Prescriptions Plus pharmacies. And my first original location is right on West Franklin Boulevard. It's 1614 West Franklin Boulevard. So I've been in Gastonia literally my entire life, other than my time in Chapel Hill. I was between Gastonia and Kings Mountain. That's where I lived. The vast majority of all my hours of life have been here. And so when I opened Prescriptions Plus, the idea behind Prescriptions Plus was that we would do prescriptions, plus we would teach wellness. We would teach people how to be well if that's what they were looking for, and how to have a better quality of life, which I wish that I would have known then for Granny what I know now, because we help people every day feel better, think better, get off of different meds, working with their doctor. I mean, different things for different people, but I work a lot with cancer patients. And it always makes me think back to Granny. So, you know, the idea of doing pharmacy and not knowing what I know now, it just would not work for me. There was no way I could have continued to do it. I would have had to find a new career. But through my Prescriptions Plus pharmacies, there's now 3 locations. Again, the flagship is on Franklin Boulevard right here in Gastonia. And it led us to spin off some of the wellness that we were doing and create the OptiYou RX Wellness Program and the OptiYou RX Wellness Company. So now I'm building a new building on Franklin, and we're going to encompass both companies there, Prescriptions Plus Pharmacy and the OptiYou RX, where we help so many people. Again, I formulate my own custom supplements. I do wellness classes. We just do a lot of stuff to help meet people's needs. And so Gastonia is really near and dear to my heart, because that's where I'm most commonly helping people, is right on Franklin Boulevard. That's where most of the people come in that are looking for help. We've been serving customers for right around 30 years now. And so we're really excited to be in Gastonia. We're really excited to open a new location. And I say a new location, it's really the same location, but in a new building, right beside our existing location. But it's going to be so much better for the customer experience, what we're going to be able to do now. And so, you know, I have grown up being a Kings Mountain and Gastonia guy, and that's just who I want to help. And so we're willing to help anybody who is willing to come in and listen. So that's my story, and that's how I came to write the book, The 21st Century Pharmacist. That's how I came to formulate my own supplements, and that's how we've helped literally tens of thousands of people with their health issues and be able to get off a lot of dangerous prescription meds. Because one thing that I think people don't understand is that there's nothing wrong with using prescription meds, but if God designed our bodies to be healthy, and I believe He did, if we can do the right things, a lot of times the need for the prescription meds go away. And I always tell people that's a win, because the average prescription drug, and I have this documented in my book, The 21st Century Pharmacist, the average prescription drug, according to the University of Stanford School of Medicine, has 398 side effects. So anytime we can use really high-quality supplements that have only positive benefits, it's always a win over something with 398 side effects. So that's our goal, is to help people understand, educate themselves, so they can make better decisions for their health. Some things in Gaston County that I think are very beneficial, or could be very beneficial to health now, that maybe a lot of people are not taking advantage of. And I just think of like all the trails at Crowder's Mountain. You know, we got different parking areas, of course, but I think that, I know, by the way, I shouldn't say I think, I know that just simple walking has so many benefits, health benefits, that if people would take advantage of Crowder's Mountain, I mean, and obviously if you can walk a trail that's got some gain to it, some height gain, distance, elevation, that can be even better. So that's one thing. But I think what my vision of health is that for Gaston County and for really the world, is that they wouldn't be all these chronic diseases we see today, like heart disease, diabetes, cancers, they wouldn't be near as rampant as they are. overweight. I mean, there's so many different things, right, that people are suffering from, arthritis, inflammation. My goal is to see more and more people be educated in Gaston County about how to be healthy, because I think that the healthcare system is broken. And it doesn't mean there's bad people in healthcare. I don't want people to take this wrong when I say it. But the system itself is broken. The system is designed, I think, for failure. And so my job as the 21st century pharmacist and the health and wellness expert is to educate people. Now, they may or may not take the information and utilize it, but my job is to teach them what to do, give them the information so that they can make an informed decision. So one of the things that I'm hoping to do in the new pharmacy building is we have built additional space beside the pharmacy. And we want to put in a natural thinking, wellness thinking, like-minded nurse practitioner or physician's assistant there. And we want to open up a direct primary care clinic where people that are underinsured or don't have insurance can get real quality health care at a very affordable price. And not just, when I say quality health care, I don't mean just the standard health care. I mean, again, we're going to try to teach them how to be healthy. And that doesn't always include 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 prescription drugs, right? We want to teach them and give them education. And again, some people are going to take it and some aren't. So that's the kind of things that I see, just the ability to be able to educate people and let the people that are willing to make changes for their own health learn what to do. I have 3, but only one's in Gastonia. We looked at moving, to be honest with you. We looked at moving over to the other side of Gastonia, even over into Mount Holly and Belmont, was considered. But it's, I think that in my heart, I want to help West Gastonia become even better and improve. And I saw things like the new QT coming in, and the 7-Eleven, and then the new Taco Bell, and I think it's Advanced Auto is right there too. So I saw growth, and I really didn't in my heart want to leave the customers that we had built the relationships with, because we have some customers that have literally been with us since the day we opened the doors. And I just didn't feel good about just walking away and then them having to maybe go to a chain pharmacy where they would probably not going to get that same family feeling oriented care. When 9 out of 10 people walk into our pharmacy, we know their first name, they know our first name, we ask each other about our families and our kids, and that kind of thing, versus the kind of a number at some of these places. And so I just didn't feel good about leaving, honestly. So I hope that our development of a new, I think what is a very attractive building, will help others say, we need to help West Gastonia improve. That's my goal, certainly. Well, I think the biggest thing to add is just that people don't have to be sick. And I think that's my takeaway for tonight is the number one thing that I teach, just so you know, is that you have to be the CEO of your own health. And when I say CEO, I mean Chief Executive Officer. You own your own business, so you know exactly what I mean. You have to make the hard decisions. As the owner of my business, I have to be the CEO. I have to make the hard decision. I had to make the decision to stay in West Gastonia and build a new building or not, right? But as the most important thing to us as Americans, if you look at the Barna research year after year, is health, and we're failing. And so you have to do things like educate yourself. And so come see us, come talk to us, come to one of my free classes. Do something to educate yourself with real quality scientific information that can help you live a better life where you look, feel, and think your best. And that's what I would say, that's the most important thing for me.